Hello, everyone. I'm back with another podcast review, and today I'm going to review the latest episode of Joseline's Cabaret, Texas, Season 5, Episode 1, titled Big and Bad in Texas. Before I get started with this review, I want you all to like this review, share this review, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave comments in the comments section below this video to let me know which television shows you would like for me to review. Also, go to the description box below this review video and follow me on all of my social medias. In the description box, there's links that will take you directly to my social media accounts. So let's get started with this review. So this episode starts off with Joseline. She's making her grand entrance. She's riding in on a horse. And she mentions how season 4 was hectic and she went to jail apparently, and she's now drug free and drinks free. I was surprised to know that Joseline went to jail. I didn't really watch last season 4 of Joseline's Cabaret. I saw bits and pieces of it, bits and pieces of Joseline's Cabaret season 4, so I didn't really watch it. So I was very surprised to find out that she was arrested during the filming of last season. Or was she arrested during the filming while they were filming season 4 of Joseline's Cabaret, or did she just get arrested after the show? Someone let me know in the comment section below if she got arrested during the show, or was she like arrested after the show. Joseline, what else happened? She's not tolerating any disrespect this season. If she deals with she's not tolerating or dealing with any disrespect this season. If anyone disrespects her, she's sending them on their way, and she wants to see smoke behind them when they're walking away. I think that the theme song and the theme song video was great. It was something new, something different. I really liked the theme song, and I liked the theme song video. Joseline is now sober, and with her not doing any drugs, she had to find something to distract herself. So what she's been doing, she's been training to ride horses to compete in competitions. For this season, she wants everything made. She wants the girls to have their nails done, makeup done, hair done, teeth flossed, tongue brushed, back of your feet clean, putty cat smelling amazing. If not, then they're not going to be able to be in the cabaret. This season, there's $50K on the line, and Joseline and Ballistic think that you can do a lot with $50K. If you know what you're doing, you can flip that money and make more money. Danny and Drea from last season, they're coming back. Like I said, I didn't really watch last season. I saw bits and pieces of it, so I'm not really too familiar with Danny and Andrea. I do remember seeing someone, like when I saw like bits and pieces of last season, I remember seeing someone holding a voodoo doll, but I really didn't, pay attention that much to really, get a feel of what that cast member was like, but I do remember seeing her with a voodoo doll. They're also bringing Diamond and Raven back, and I remember they were on season 3, and I believe they were also on season 4. Well, no, Raven was on season 4 of... No, not season 4. Raven and Black Diamond, they were both on season 3. Raven, I believe, was the only one that was on season 4. I don't remember seeing any clips of Black Diamond being on season 4. Apparently Joseline put her hands on Raven last season. She like grabbed her by her throat and like threw her down on the ground, and Raven got up and was like, "Don't you ever touch me." I remember seeing that clip, but like I said, I didn't watch last season like that. This season, Joseline is expecting class and grace, and she wants this season to really be made. She wants this season to be really nice. Oh, excuse me, I accidentally belched. Joseline is she's having a masquerade party, and the house that Joseline and Ballistic is at is not the house that the ladies are going to be living in. It's the house where the masquerade party is going to be at. And the people that are attending the party will potentially be selected to be a part of season 5 of Joseline's Cabaret. And surprisingly enough, Erica Mena is hosting the party. She's going to be hosting the party. Joseline wants there to be a house mom this season, and she calls Wet Wet. She wants Wet Wet to be the house mom this season. And Joseline said something really funny. She said, "We know the bitch can dance. We know the bitch teeth is fucked up. We know the bitch ain't got the look, but she knows what Joseline wants." Ballistic doesn't think that Wet Wet is going to do it. Jocelyn calls Wet Wet and she asks her to be the house mom, and immediately Wet Wet, she agrees to being the house mom, and she wants Wet Wet to get in the party bus, get the party bus ready and bring everyone back to the house. Wet Wet in Wet Wet's intro, she says she's the goat, she's the star and the fan favorite. She's not there to make friends. She's there to do a job and then go home. Black Diamond, apparently she just had a baby, so she's been down for about 9 months or more. Um, Raven and Black Diamond, they meet Wet Wet on the Sprinter. Wet Wet has had a lot of internet confrontations with Andrea and Danny, who are both coming back this season. And Wet Wet didn't like Jocelyn's outfit, so she made a comment about it on Instagram. And Andrea said something about Wet Wet having a dirty ass mouth. And Wet Wet told Andrea to be a mother to her child because she's more of a mother to that voodoo doll than she is to that child. That's what Wet Wet said. She said Wet Wet said to be a mother to that child because you're more of a mother to that voodoo doll than that child. That's what Wet Wet said. Danny and Andrea, they get on the Sprinter. Wet Wet announces that she's going to be the house mom. Andrea says it ain't shit that she can do for me. Like, she's like in the confessional, Andrea said that Wet Wet's like that drunk auntie that just don't know how to shut up. Raven asks everyone how she feels about Wet Wet being the house mom, and Andrea was like, "There's nothing she can do for me." An interesting fact is that I didn't know that Andrea had a husband. I was surprised. But both Wet Wet has a child, Andrea has a child, and Danny has a child. And, kids have been a topic of the discussion during their confrontations. So that is why things are the way they are between those three. And apparently, I think Danny said something about Wet Wet's child, and Wet Wet's child has special needs. And I thought that was a very interesting fact. Danny and Wet Wet, their beef stems from Wet Wet talking about her online, and apparently Wet Wet said something about you've been here 2 seasons and you still haven't gotten your look together. And Wet Wet claims that Danny was throwing shade towards her before she even said that comment. It's the night of the masquerade party, and Jocelyn is happy that Erica Mena is hosting the party. Erica really likes girls, and she claims that she hasn't pee-bumped in a long time. And what I mean by pee-bumped, I'm talking about scissoring, if you know what that means. If you know, you know. And I was surprised to know that Erica was into women. I didn't know that. I think that Jocelyn is like low-key into women as well, but I was really surprised to find out that Erica Mena was into females. I didn't know that. I thought that she was just into men. So it's now part of the episode where we're getting introduced to the cast. There's a lot of women this season. It's 13 women, and it's not including the 5 people that Jocelyn is bringing back from other seasons. And it's going to take some time for me to remember all these names because it's 13 new cast members, and then there's 5 additional cast members from previous seasons. So it's a total of 18 women. It's going to take me some time to remember all of these names. I really wish what they would do is in the confessionals, they put the name of the person. Like anytime there's a confessional, they need to put the name of that person in the confessional because it will help me remember during my reviews of like who did what. But we're first introduced to showgirl Neek, and she's from Baltimore. Her outfit in the confessional was really giving. We're then introduced to Envy Erica. She's from LA. I think that she had some very beautiful blonde hair, and I think that she might be biracial. She looked like she was biracial, like she had a little African American in her, and I thought that her hair was really beautiful. And in her confessional, when she had the curly hair, that looked really nice as well. We're then introduced to Lexi Gold. She's from Memphis, Tennessee. She's from my hometown. And she's also, here's a fun fact, she's related to the Dorsey sisters. The Dorsey sisters, Nia and Noria Dorsey, they were on ninth and 10th season of Basketball Wives. If you all watch Basketball Wives and you're Basketball Wives veterans, you will probably know who the Dorsey sisters are. They were on season 9 and season 10 of Basketball Wives. They got into an altercation with Brooke on season 10 of Basketball Wives. Brooke threw a drink at Nia Dorsey, and then that's when Nia threw something back at her, and that's when either Noria or Nia threw a glass and it hit Brandy in the face. That's just like a quick backstory as to what happened. That's a quick backstory as to a storyline that the Dorsey sisters had on Basketball Wives, and they also didn't have the best relationship with OG on Basketball Wives. We're then introduced to Queen Envy. She's from South Side of Chicago. We're then introduced to Kay. She's from Miami. She doesn't like fighting. She's a classy woman, and she thinks that classy women aren't supposed to fight. It looks ugly, and she doesn't like to not look cute. But if you bring it to her, she's not backing down, and that's me paraphrasing what she said. We're then introduced to Jayla. She's from Fort Worth, Texas. She can be messy and an antagonizer. We're then introduced to Isis. She's from Michigan, and originally she auditioned for season 4, but she didn't make it, so she's now on season 5. We're then introduced to Fetish. She's from Chicago, moved to Houston, Texas, and she's a wig stylist. We're then introduced to Chinks. She's from New York, and she moved to Texas 3 years ago. She was scouted while she was dancing in a club, and she took the opportunity to be on Joseline's Cabaret. We're almost done with the list of new cast members. We're then introduced to Des. She's from Brooklyn, New York. She's Dominican, and I thought that she had some very beautiful hair, very nice curly black hair. We're then introduced to Oceans. I don't think it was announced where she was from. We're then introduced to Spicy Moni. I don't remember how to pronounce the second part of her name. She's from Tacoma. She's Christ-like, but she's not mice-like. And she said that she will attack first. She's not going to put up with someone being in her face. And I'm looking forward to learning more about her. I think she's a great addition to the show. Just like some of the other cast members, I think that they're great additions to the show also. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Spicy Moni's going to bring to this season of Joseline's Cabaret. It was interesting to know that one of the cast members knew Erica Des. She knew Erica. She's known Erica for years. I think they're both from the same state or the same city, one of the two. Erica tells the OGs, which is Wet Wet, Andrea, Danny, Raven, and Black Diamond, that they have some competition this season. And they're like, where? And Danny says in her confessional that she's not the baddest bee in the world, but these girls are kind of ugly and hurt looking. And I thought that was funny. Erica starts to welcome everyone to season 5 of Joseline's Cabaret on the mic. And Joseline makes her announcement and she speaks on the mic. And not long after that, Joseline goes over to Wet Wet, Andrea, Danny, Raven, and Black Diamond. She asks how the women felt about Wet Wet being in the house mom, and Raven says that they had some words on the bus, but Raven is cool with her being the house mom. And Joseline tells the DJ to turn the music down, and Joseline wants to know what happened. Wet Wet says, and she poses, and she's like, she told Andrea, "You're more of a mom to your voodoo doll." And then Andrea punches Wet Wet from the side, and then Danny snatches Wet Wet's hair from the back. And then after the security breaks all three of them up, Danny and Wet Wet square up. And I think that fight was a tie, even though I think that Danny was getting more hits in. I think that it was still a tie. Black Diamond doesn't condone the jumping, but she also understands that anytime a child is brought up in confrontation, that she would see red. All she would see was red. And Wet Wet and then Wet Wet and Andreas square up. Wet Wet Raven puts on Wet Wet's wig, and Wet Wet and Raven, they start dancing, and then Danny sneaks Wet Wet from the side, and then that's when the show goes off, and we get a preview for next season. I mean, not preview for next season. We get a preview for the next episode. I think that this is going to be a very interesting season. I'm looking forward to seeing what this cast is going to bring this season. I think that is a very good, diverse group of women that's from a different walks of life, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this season's going to bring. Thank you all for tuning in to this review. I give this episode a rating of 9 out of 10. This was a very good season premiere. They on the Zeus app is they say series premiere because they're in a different state. It's Joseline's Cabaret is in a different state this season, so they say series premiere. But I'm going to say this is season 5 of Joseline's Cabaret. But thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to like this video, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, leave comments in the comment section below for what shows you want me to review. And also leave your comments in the comment section below about how you felt about tonight's episode. Also, go to the description box below this review video to check out my social media handles. I have links that will take you directly to my social media accounts. And thank you all for tuning in again. You all have a good one. Bye-bye.